Hi, I'm Casey. Welcome to the iHeart Latin channel, lesson number 7, where we are going to talk about adjectives of the first and second declension and predicate adjectives. So let's start out and talk about adjectives. In English, what does an adjective do? An adjective describes or modifies a noun or pronoun and answers the questions which, whose, what kind, and how many. So it's a word that's describing or giving us more information about a noun or a pronoun. In Latin, they serve the same purpose. And they are much like nouns in that they are declined. In Latin, adjectives belong to one of two groups. They either belong to the first and second declension or the third declension. Today, we're just going to talk about adjectives that belong to the first and second declension. So if you look up here on the board, I have some examples, and you will see adjectives of the first and second declension listed like this: magnus aum, bonus aum, multus aum. And if you look at these endings, they might look familiar to you. So we see a us here, that might remind you of second declension endings. The nominative singular ends in us. We have an a here, and that might remind you of the first declension endings. The nominative singular ends in an a. And that might remind you of second declension neuter. Those nominative singular endings end in a So the way that you see adjectives of the first and second declension listed, they will give you the masculine form, then the feminine, and then the neuter. Because nouns in Latin can be either masculine, feminine, or neuter, adjectives need to have the capability to be masculine, feminine, or neuter because they must match the noun that they're modifying or describing in gender, number, and case. So remember our GNC rule. That's going to really come into play here today. And this is just kind of a shorthand way of writing out all the different possible endings that an adjective might have based on the noun that it's describing. So it's kind of a shorter way of conveying this idea. So if we had an adjective that was describing something masculine, we are going to use second declension masculine endings. So any adjective that belongs to the first and second declension, depending on the word that it's describing or modifying, we'll use either, if it's masculine, second declension endings; if it's feminine, first declension endings; if it's neuter, second declension neuter endings. So you can see that this would be kind of a lot to write out in a curriculum. So that's why I imagine they abbreviate it this way. But this is really the idea, is that you have these 3 different options for endings. So for instance, if we were going to say, so this word magnus means great. If I was going to say, a great friend, well, I know that friend is a masculine word, so I would need to choose one of my masculine endings from the second declension. If I was going to say a great house, I know that house is a feminine word, so I would need to choose endings from the first declension, which are feminine. And if I was going to say a great war, I know that war is a second declension neuter word, so I would need to choose second declension neuter endings. Now, it's important to note that regardless of what declension the noun belongs to, if an adjective belongs to the first and second declension, you'll always choose endings from either the first if it's feminine or second if it's masculine or neuter. You will always choose those endings. So let's say you're saying a great soldier. Soldier is a word in the third declension and it's masculine. However, you're still going to use second declension endings because this particular adjective belongs to the first and second declension. I know that's a little bit confusing. Hopefully, as you're sort of practicing, it'll become a little more intuitive. There are a couple things to remember when we are translating adjectives. The first one I already mentioned is the GNC rule. An adjective has to match the thing that it's modifying or describing in gender, number, and case. The second thing is that there is an adjective order. And this is true for English as well. So we wouldn't say the blue old shoe, right? We would say the old blue shoe because in English, age, our adjective order, age comes before color. The same thing is true in Latin. They have an order. So adjectives of quantity, if something is describing how many of something, it's going to come before the noun that it's describing. And if it's a quality, so brave, great, big, something like that. It's going to come after the noun that it's describing. So let's take a look at some of these sentences I have up here on the board. A good soldier is strong. So the first thing we need to do is we need to identify what roles these words are playing in this sentence. So I start by just asking my question ID questions. Who or what is this sentence about? It's about the soldier. So he is my nominative. And is it singular or plural? It's singular. I'm just talking about one soldier. And is it masculine or feminine? Well, I know that's a traditionally male job and it belongs to the third declension. So that is indeed masculine. What's the soldier doing or being? He is. There's my verb. And I'm saying the soldier is strong. We'll deal with this word a little bit later. But let me look at this word good. So if I ask myself, does this word answer one of these four questions? Which, whose, what kind, or how many? Well, it answers the question, what kind, right? What kind of soldier? A good soldier. So I know this is indeed an adjective. So I'm going to label that as an adjective. And I know, because of my GNC rule, that this adjective has to match the noun that it's describing, which would be soldier, in gender, number, and case. So since soldier is nominative, singular, and masculine, I need to make sure that good is also in the nominative case, singular, and masculine. So my word for soldier is miles milites, and that is in the third declension. So if you have your declension cheat sheet, you can look at that. If you've already memorized the declension endings, good for you. You're one step ahead. So I know that a nominative, singular, masculine ending for this word here, soldier, is miles. And now I need to choose a nominative, singular, masculine ending for good. So even though this word is in the third declension, I'm still going to choose second declension endings for this word because it belongs to the second declension. So remember, whatever declension a word belongs to, it never changes. It doesn't swap, even if it's describing or it's next to a word in a different declension. So I've got three choices over here. I can use second declension masculine, first declension feminine, or second declension neuter. Well, I've got a masculine word here, so I need to choose masculine. So that would mean that I'm going to use the second declension options. And I know that my second declension nominative singular ending would be us e-o-m-o. So the word I would choose would be bonus. Okay, so now remember my second rule is that adjectives of quantity come first and quality come after. So what kind of word is good? Is it a quantity or is it a quality? It's a quality, so it's going to come after the word soldier. So it's going to be miles bonus. So that's how I would decline that particular sentence right there. Now, if you look at this sentence, you'll see my friend saw the good soldier. Here, in this sentence, who or what is this sentence about? It's about the friend. So in this sentence, friend is the nominative. What's being said about the friend? He saw. The friend saw who or what? Saw the soldier. So in this particular case, soldier is in the accusative. It's the direct object. It is still singular. It is still masculine. But this time, I need to make sure that my adjective, so again, this answers the question, what kind, which, whose, what kind, how many, what kind of soldier, a good soldier. So I need to match this word now in gender, number, and case. So this time, it's going to be accusative singular masculine endings. So what is an accusative singular masculine ending for the word soldier? Miles milites. It is militem. Right? Various is E-M-E, so that's my accusative singular. Again, this is a quality adjective, so it's going to come after. It's masculine, so I'm still going to choose my masculine options from the second declension, but this time we need to make it accusative. So what is an accusative singular masculine ending for bonus, boni? So us, e, o, o. So in this case, it would be militem bonum. So do you see how that works? The same adjective is changing its ending depending on the noun that it's describing. Okay, let's do one more thing with this sentence up here. What if I change the word soldier to gate? Now my word for gate is feminine. So I've already determined that this is nominative. It's playing the role of the subject. Gate is singular, but I know my word for gate, porta, portai, belongs to the first declension, so it's feminine. So now my adjective has to be a little bit of a chameleon and change. It's not masculine anymore. Now I need to have it match in gender, number, and case. So now I need a nominative singular feminine version of the adjective to make sure that it's agreeing with the noun that it's describing. So my nominative singular word for gate is porta. Now I need to make sure that my adjective matches that. So in this case, I'm going to choose these feminine options because the word that I'm describing is feminine. So what is a nominative singular feminine ending of the first declension? It is bona. So it would be porta bona. So do you see how the adjectives are, like I said, they're kind of chameleons depending on the noun that they're describing. So the good news is that you already know all these endings. They're exactly the same as the endings for nouns. So you don't have to memorize anything new. That's pretty good news. You just need to make sure that you are applying the proper form depending on the gender, number, and case rule, and putting it in the proper place depending on whether it's an adjective of quality or quantity. So if we look at this sentence here, the great general praises the many soldiers. We have two different types of adjectives. We have one answering the question, what kind? It's an adjective of quality. And we have one answering the question, how many? The answer is many soldiers, so it's a quantity. So in this particular sentence, this adjective would come after the word that it's describing. This one would come before because it's an adjective, a quantity adjective. Okay, so while we're talking about adjectives, let's talk about something called a predicate adjective. So let's see. Let me change this word. Okay. A good gait is great. It's an alliteration there as well. I referenced this in an earlier video, this idea that there are different kinds of verbs. Some verbs are action verbs, some verbs are state of being verbs, there are linking verbs. Not every verb is transferring an action. So very, very common to see something we call linking verbs. And I talked about this again, kind of in an earlier video, this idea of linking two words together. And in my earlier video, I talked about how if you think about a linking verb like an equal sign, you're kind of making an assertion that one thing is another. So for instance, if I said, to look at this sentence, a good gait is great, I'm making an assertion about the gait. The gait isn't actually doing anything. It's just sort of being something. It's being great. So when you have a linking verb, the thing that follows it, the word kind of on the other sign, if we think about this is like an equal sign kind of, this word over here will either be a noun, making it a predicate nominative. So for instance, if I said a good gait is a barrier is a thing, right? That's a noun. Or you will have what's called a predicate adjective, a word that's describing the gait. So in this case, this word right here is a predicate adjective describing the gait. And remember, if we have an adjective, it needs to match the thing that it's describing in gender, number, and case. So predicate adjectives follow the same rule that regular adjectives do. They have to match the thing that they're describing in gender, number, and case. So in this sentence here, great is answering the question, what kind of gait? Well, a great gait. So since my subject here is the nominative case, singular and feminine, then I have to use nominative, singular, feminine endings for this predicate adjective. And again, you can kind of think of it like an equal sign. I'm making an assertion. I'm saying one thing is the other. There's no action happening, right? The gait isn't doing anything to the word great. Okay, so I've already established that porta bona is the correct form for my, my subject here and this particular adjective. And now I need to find a nominative singular feminine option for this predicate adjective. So if I look over here, I see the word for great is magnus aum, which means I'm going to choose first declension feminine endings for magnus aum. So magna, magni, same exact endings as the nouns in the first declension. So a nominative singular feminine ending for magnus aum would be magna. And that's how that would look. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Also, you can hit the bell if you want to be notified when a new episode is out. Thank you for watching. I will see you in lesson 8. Walete.